Live from Houston, Texas, a show for local business owners. This is Business Houston Podcast. If you're a small or medium-sized business, this is your source for trends, interviews, and tips for winning in today's economic climate. Presented by the BBB for Greater Houston and South Texas. You're listening to Business Houston, and this is your host, Matt Bertram.
Hello, welcome to Business Houston Podcast. My name's Matt Bertram. I'm here with Melody with Blissful Waters. Melody, how are you doing today?
Doing good, thank you.
What happened? The camera just disappeared.
Oh, whoops, sorry about that.
How are you today? Good, great to have you here. I was looking at your website and you do something. So blissfulwatersfloat.com. You do something that I've always wanted to try. I'm really excited to talk to you today. So you do, it's like an immersion tank, right? Like, can you explain that a little bit? Or?
You float on, there's about 10 to 12 inches of very salty water, about 1,600 pounds of Epsom salt. And we have nice large rooms. They're not pods, they're 8 by 10 rooms. And you just float effortlessly in there with no weights against you, no gravity. You're just relaxed. And
so deprivation, right? It's like a deprivation.
Ideally, you want to be deprivation. Ideally, no music, no light. Your body becomes one with the water. And actually, like, it's more comparable to space than a bath because you lose yourself.
Oh, wow.
So that's the goal, but not everybody. That scares a lot of people. So we do have music. We actually have meditations and things. We can work you towards pure deprivation, but that's where the magic is.
And I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. I'm just so interested. So what is that? What does the data say, or what is that supposed to do for you? You know what I mean?
Well, it's mainly anxiety, depression. It helps a lot with anxiety and depression. It helps with, my favorite clients are pain because they get relief off of the very first visit. So if, chronic pain, everyday pain, athletes, a lot of athletes use it for muscle recovery and performance level. So it's one of the only tools out there that you can have the mental and the physical. And so you come out in coherence, your brain, heart, everything working together.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's back up. How did you get into this? This is so interesting.
So I got into float therapy. I was a stressed out mom. I used to open bars and clubs in Houston, and I had to quit because my kids were young and they needed me. So I quit, and then I was just kind of like, what am I going to do with myself? I'd worked my whole life, and it was family vacation time, and there was no way I was getting in a car with everybody. I was just stressed out and, home all the time. So I started going to Austin and floating once a month and having a little weekend, and it brought back my creativity, had better hearing, had eyesight. Like it just did so many things for me, made life better. And so I just kept getting more and more addicted, and then decided I needed one in my backyard. So we opened our own business. Very
cool. Very cool. All right. And so, where are you based? Where are you? You're here in Houston. Where's your office?
We are in the Woodlands, Texas, pretty close to the mall off of Timberlock Place and Grogan's Mill. So we're right in the heart of the Woodlands.
Okay. Well, why don't you, if there's anything that we missed, because I kind of jumped into it about like float therapy and what it's about, and maybe some of the other services that you might be thinking about offering, and like who's your general kind of demographic that this really works well for.
So surprisingly, we have more men that float than women. We are huge on customer service. So my float center does have a female touch to it. A lot of the float centers are more male owned. So mine, you'll have the essential oils, and we have tea after your float. When you first come in, you get a massage chair, a little zero gravity massage chair. It helps set the tone. And then you do your float, and then you come out to the post-float lounge, and that's like the chill out room. We have an O2 bar with essential oils on that, and some CBD, water-soluble CBD. So everybody leaves floating out. Yeah, our clientele ranges from entrepreneurs to athletes to lupus and chronic pain, and what else we have? Anxiety, depression, a lot of that right now after COVID. So they're really strolling in these days. Just getting a reboot. It can be a great remapping for the brain as well.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the website, and it looks like you have a lot of other products that you were talking about that you offer here. The Shroom Room, that's interesting. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we push mushrooms for health. It's a natural way. They work with your body naturally, and they don't go against medications, most of them. So we like the reishi, the lion's mane. We do a lot of cordyceps, but they can help with blood sugar levels. They can help with anxiety, depression, just in general health. Mushrooms are amazing. They're a tool that actually goes into the body and works with the body. Doesn't require you eating any more or any other drugs. So yeah, we're big fans of mushrooms, and we have a variety of kinds, from Paul Stamets to Lone Star mushrooms, which is local.
Very cool. Okay, I don't know a lot about that. That's very interesting.
Check into
look
it.
at that. You with the BBB sign there. I like that. That's great. This is well, okay. This goes to your Shopify store. Okay, so the main site is blissfulwatersfloat.com. Looks like you got a lot of information. You have a blog out there about it. It looks like you're active on social media as well. So yeah, blissfulwatersfloat.com. Very, very cool. All right. So tell me, since you got the BBB sign there in the picture, tell me what being part of the BBB means to you.
Well, I like to build trust, and I know I grew up with the BBB, and that's how we always found our favorite businesses, and we could kind of check to make sure they were legit. In today's world, there's so much conning going on that I just think gives that extra security that knows you're a legit business and what you're out for the people.
No, fantastic. Yeah. So tell me, how is COVID? Tell me, I know a little bit about the spa space. How has COVID affected your business?
Well, COVID, you can't get away from COVID. COVID affected every business, but I will say, I feel like we did very well during COVID, considering we didn't end up having to completely shut down. We just had to shut down the spa side of things. So I remember the day the shutdown orders came through, and I had a really rough time opening. I've got conned out of a lot of money. It took me an extra 2 years. So I feel like that gave me a sense of calm when COVID hit. Instead of just reacting, I took a minute and I thought. I got in touch with a CDC virologist that deals with float centers, and we narrowed out what we needed to cut out, which was like massage chairs. We were very lucky because our tanks are cleaned with ozone gas and with UVC light. So we were able to stay open. We just couldn't get new clients, but like our combat vets who were getting off medications and our chronic pain sufferers, they were still able to come in. We could just do one client at a time. So we'd have one come in, clean the space, and another. And then as it got, further and further down the road with the COVID, we just ended up hiring more staff. I never had so much staff in my life. So I kind of grew during COVID, to be honest. It helped me let go. I got staff now. I have someone who just runs around and sanitizes everything, literally follows the clients around. What else? We grew into a new room. We were supposed to have our third room, and we managed to do it during COVID. So we just kept grinding, and, we had to slow it down, but we made it.
I think people really need that. I think you said anxiety and depression. It helps with that. And I think during COVID, there was a lot of that going around for sure. Well, very cool. So, if someone's thinking about, float therapy, is that what you call it? Is float therapy the right term? So if someone's thinking about that, what are some of the things that they want to consider? What are some of the things that they might want to be thinking about a little bit more?
Well, float therapy is a practice. A lot of people think they're just going to come in and just have this magical moment the first time, which it does happen for some, especially pain. That's immediate. But with the practice of it and really taking the time to come 2 times a month or 1 time a week, that's when you see the real results. The first time, your brain is still taking in information. So the first one we call the experience float. It's your brain's answering questions. Am I going to drown in here? How big is this? Am I claustrophobic? Does the door lock? Things like that, So once your brain answers all those questions, your second float is where you're relaxing a little bit more. Your body's excited for it. Your brain's like, oh, I could dig this. You just unloaded a lot of data and information and closed some tabs. It's like, all right, Third float we call the magic float, because that's where the heart, the brain, everything's in coherence. Your heart actually sends messages to your brain, and the float tank helps you get those two on the same page. And it shows the right side of the brain gets to come out and play a little bit more too, so you get more creativity.
Man, it sounds like something I'm definitely interested in finding more about. Very cool. All right. So, like, what is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to make sure to communicate to, people in the Woodlands surrounding area, people, that are part of the Better Business Bureau? Like, is there anything that we haven't covered? Because I really don't know much about this. So I want to make sure that we fully cover everything you want to cover in this interview.
Well, I guess as a client thing and what we offer, we have expanded. We have 3 rooms now. We also now have an infrared sauna, three-ray infrared sauna. So we're a wellness center, and we've got these extra modalities now. We're adding a cold plunge over the summer. So we're adding more things. We won Best of the Woodlands over this last year, which is pretty cool for a health and wellness center. So we have lots of supplements that work with your body. From a cellular level, so wheatgrass, mushrooms, all those things, they all work from a cellular level. Now, as far as businesses, I'm in a ton of networking groups, and I can tell you my tip is just don't give up. I hate it when I see my fellow business people like hustling and they're about to hit that flow. They're about to hit where they're going to start, getting the clients in and start helping people, and they quit. Just don't quit. You got to keep going. Yeah.
So the red light, is that what regrows the mitochondria? I've heard about that. Yeah. So I had a friend that has one of those beds, and I got to lay in it. It's pretty interesting. It like energizes you. So that's very cool. That's very cool. I'm glad you shared that. All right. So Melody, how do people get in touch with you? The website is blissfulwatersfloat.com. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me through the website. Also, we're on Facebook as Blissful Waters Float Center. We are on Instagram. The Woodlands Texas Float Center is what we are on Instagram. And that's really the best way to get in touch with me is through the messenger apps. I do check those. And you can also email me at melody@blissfulwatersfloat.com. I'm very hands-on with the business. I do consults. I respond to messages. If you have questions, you can also call us. We're big on the telephone. So kind of yeah. People still call.
No, I know. I was having actually an interesting discussion on the customer journey that's changed because of COVID, of how people, maybe don't go straight into the store. Maybe people don't call immediately, like they go look at the website first. And, I think you have a great website, a lot of information to talk about and products, and got a Shopify store so you can buy stuff. Like, that's fantastic. So Melody, it was so great having you on. Thank you for being on Business Houston Podcast.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks so much for listening. Business Houston puts a spotlight on local small and medium-sized business, interviewing those successful business owners in Houston and those business owners that are winning in today's economic climate. Business Houston is presented to you by the BBB of Greater Houston and South Texas. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at Hugh Biz Podcast. That's HOU Biz Podcast. Till next time, this is Business Houston.